Okay. So, hello everybody. It's Lily Willy, and I'm here to make yet another video. If you send that in my tone, I come across a bit too intense in any portion of this video. I will attempt to both moderate it, but still make it intense enough. Because this issue due to various things, including certain life events that I myself have been through, that mean a lot to me. And I know that I'm not the only one. And it would mean a lot unto me, no matter who was running for president, on any side, whether they were identified as male, female, or other. As it happens, however, as many around the world realize, unless they have blissfully managed to hide themselves under a much more significant bit of stone than than the average hermit. One of the people running is Donald Trump. And certain of his comments have been fairly upsetting unto many across sex and gender lines of pretty much any party. And I will touch very, very briefly on what I have to say is one of the only things that I find it both amusing, yet also almost a little bit amazing that Mr. Trumpy Wumpy have managed to do. But before I do that, I'm going to share a little something with you, the YouTube public, and I'm gonna go into a tiny bit of a rant, and I will attempt to be both gentle yet intense enough to get my stance and my point across, because I feel this is very important. So, Mr. Trump's oafish level of openness, even his braggadocio regarding grabbing female reality TV stars by their nether parts at a certain point in his stardom, is making the US look bad again. Now, in recent in the most recent decade and a half, making the US look bad politically has not been very hard. But Trump has been doing an even better job of making the US look bad. And I do not know Mr. Trump personally, and so I cannot vouch for what he is like as an individual. I have observed him only in the limited eyes of the media since his beginning for the run for president. So I am not able to offer any documentation, if you will, as to whether Mr. Trump really is as crude as he presents, or whether that is to any degree a face that he is presenting in order to win the hearts and votes of people he's trying to put himself on a level with. But I want to say something, irrespective of what he's really like, he's making himself look like a dick. And the way he's behaving is making real men read people of the male sex and male identity who treat those that they have a sexual interest in as more than objects, and who treat them as people rather than just objects, no matter what their sex interest had, no matter what the people they are sexually interested in have in their pants. He's been making real men who fit that description I just gave, ashamed of him. However, that said, there are important things that need to be brought up, because the world has been coming down understandably hard on Mr. Trump's behavior, with some justice, more than just some. That said, And these are rhetorical questions. I don't await for there to be only one answer. And I also don't have any hope or thought that the answers, when they come, will be quick. Because they deserve a lot of talk. But here are the rhetorical questions. Milords, miladies, and everyone in between. In a world where good people are very quick to jump on those males who objectify women, whether it's via critiquing or appreciating, sometimes with surplus crudeness, our breasts, or our whole bodies in some cases, or whether it's simply being too quick to say, "Hey, beautiful," or "Hey, sexy," as the first come on. In a world where we are quick to jump on men who do these, why are we not also quick to jump on and or critique women who, A, hit on men by opening with, "Hey, hunk," or "Hey, handsome"? Why are we not also as quick to jump on and or critique women who are more interested in and or make too open of comments about the size of a man's pocketbook and or its direct size in relation to her expectations and her preferences? Why don't we as openly leap on women quite as overtly if we, say, overhear them making comments on the bus, such as, "I can't date him, he doesn't make enough money," or what have you? Why is it okay to criticize men for being too hard on girls and or women, and to be hard on men who bully girls and women regarding their weight, and we don't and or aren't as quick to criticize bullies who might happen to be female and or who might be women when the targets are male, and the accusation, quote unquote, is of his being a shrimp or a wimp? One more. Why are we being really hard on the people and or magazines that come down hard on body fat, on their body shaming, and not coming down hard on those mags that encourage guys to give themselves muscles the size of some people's heads? Seriously, if women who try to shrink themselves into gowns that are several sizes smaller than their body frame are more likely therefore to draw guys that aren't worthy of them, the same is surely true for guys who pump their muscles to the size of being the size of footballs or whatnot. Guys, I'm telling you right now, and I know a lot of you know this, if a woman, or if you flow that way another man, can't fall for you or love you irrespective of your muscle mass, she does not deserve you. If she needs you to have muscles the size of the head of a small infant attached to your body in order to love you or be attracted to you, her love isn't worth a damn, and or possibly not worth a rat's flying arse. I'm sure that you have some you could add. Folks, this is just a start. I know that the issues that have been criticized a lot in regard to how many males treat females and have treated females for a long time in different ways, in different times, including recent times. I know raising those issues and addressing them is important. So are the ones I just brought up today. Because our society is not and has not been sexist in only one direction, folks. In his book, The Myth of Male Power, Warren Farrell, PhD, who has been a supporter of the National Organization of Women, calls our culture bisexist. That is bi-sexist. In other words, sexist towards both sexes. And I would add, if you regard the world through lenses that embrace the idea of there being more than two sexes, and certainly many more than two genders, then you could almost say it's pansexist. This is not this is not unimportant. None of the issues facing us today are unimportant. But Trump's oafishness in relation to how he has been behaving towards females and towards in other areas towards those who have been opposing him are very wrong. However, they would be wrong, and the equivalents which do exist would be wrong if a female did them. Including if a female did the equivalent to a male, or to males. And I hope that those of you, I'm sure you're out there, who have felt comforted with having a presidential candidate who is willing and able to be so openly coarse in front of the camera, including about his sexual perceived conquests. I hope that those of you who have found this to be a matter of comfort think hard about whether you would want the president of your country to do that to a foreign dignitary, to the leader of another nation, including a female, and run the risk of you, of possibly your brothers, your sisters, your husbands, your wives, running the risk of those of your husbands and wives and brothers and sisters who have chosen to offer themselves in service to our armed forces would have to risk their lives to defend our soil and or our nation. Because our president had opened his mouth in the wrong way to just the wrong or right foreign leader. Resulting in our nation having to go to war. Because that's a risk that could be run. There are nations in the world that would kill their own citizens for less than the type of comment that Mr. Trump has made so openly. There are nations, therefore, that could pose life threat potentially to our people, to our men and women, if our president made the kind of comment that Mr. Trump has made so loosely. Do you want someone for president, no matter how comforting you might find is getting on your level in regard to being comfortable in front of national cameras to speak in the worst kind of bar room banter. Not just locker room banter, but bar room banter. Are you willing to take the risk of putting our men and women's lives at risk for that? Because I'm not.